How far do you travel for schools?
I do about 8 states, and we've traveled, but I've traveled all the United States. My main block of states is eight in the Midwest here, but we've gone from Vermont all the way to California and down to Tucson, Arizona, almost to Mexico doing school shows. So I've actually traveled all over the country, but I found out it's kind of like the Roman Empire. If you remember the history, the Roman Empire spread out and spread out and spread out and spread out to the point that they couldn't control. Their supply lines were too stretched, and because of that, it collapsed. Well, only stretch yourself as far as you can get back, or as you can maintain, I should say, not get back, but maintain. So I try to have a manageable empire, as they call it, if you want to call it that.
That's great. Now, are you booking yourself or are you going through an agent for these schools?
I book all my own schools. I've always booked my own schools. I've had agents say, "Hey, I can help you with that." I said, "No, you can't. I know my show better than you do, because you'll try to sell me spitting $50 out of my ear in a quarter someplace, when I know exactly what the schools want, and the agents, they want to sell a show. I want to sell something meaningful."
Okay, that's great right there. I love that. Um, so you're booking your own shows. Are you selling them directly to the schools? Or are you going through PTAs? Who do you approach for marketing?
Um, it depends on the state. When I was up in upstate New York and lived up there, they had a state-supported arts council. It was called BOCES, Bureau of Cooperative Educational Services, BOCES. And you would contact them. Then you would send your materials out to the school, and the school said, "Oh, this looks good. I'll go to my BOCES representative and say, we'd like to bring him in." So then the BOCES person would call you. I'd line it up through them. We do the show, and then BOCES would send me a check afterward.
Mhm.
In Ohio, Indiana, I book them directly through the elementary principal. Although the PTA and PTO many times funds the shows, they go to the principal and say, "Here, we'll give you $6,000 to spend on assemblies this year." Or in Indiana, they call them convocations. That's a different word for it over in Indiana. And you can book that many dollars worth. Or the principal will go to the PTO and say, "I'd like this guy. He's got everything we need, and can you fund this for me?" And then they would fund the program that way. So it depends. I think the first and most important person to go to is the elementary principal. He is the imparter of wisdom. He gives it to the PTO, the PTA. He takes it to BOCES. If you're in New York, he knows where to send it. Or he'll send it down. A lot of times now with my character shows I'm working with guidance counselors. And he'll send it to the guidance counselor, or the guidance counselor will get the card from him and say, "Oh, can we bring him in? Can I ask the PTO to bring him in?" You go, "Yeah, sure, go ahead." And then it goes that way. So it depends on what you're selling.